Good morning, everyone. Voice over Internet Protocol. Internet Protocol. I hope every one of you know Internet Protocol, isn't it? I told you. On one side we have is the sender. Yes, sender who will send any kind of messages. And when we see messages, it doesn't mean only text message. It also means voice message, or it means any kind of phone calls. Yes, so that will be the sender. On the other hand, we will have the receiver, isn't it? Now, when a sender is sending messages to a receiver through an internet, that message will be broken down into several small packets. Yes, several small packets of messages will be formed, and everyone will follow their own route. There is no specific route that these packets will follow. Everyone will follow their own route, and just before coming to the receiver, these packets will align themselves in organization, and finally they will get received by the receiver. And this is what in simple terms we call it as IP, or Internet Protocol. Is it clear what is Internet Protocol? Right, okay. Now, since we are talking about voice over Internet Protocol, that means we are sending some voice messages with the uses of Internet. What can be the best example than this? Isn't it? You were calling someone through internet. It may be a WhatsApp, or it may be any other apps, through any other apps. If you were calling a person, yes, it is an example. It is one of the best example that we have is for voice over Internet Protocol. Normally, we can give a normal call to certain people. But sometimes what do? Instead of giving a normal call does not take the help of any internet. We also have the ability to give calls over the internet with the help of the internet, and that is called as voice over IP. Just like we have voice over IP, recently there was a news regarding radio over IP. Radio over IP, similar concept. The thing is that in this case, in radio over Internet Protocol, what will be sent? Radio waves will be sent. The waves will be the radio waves. Okay, so if you see why it was in news, it was in news because for in case of our country, for marine communication, for long range marine communication, this radio over internet protocol system was being inaugurated, was being introduced at a major port of our country. Okay, so one such major port of our country is the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee port of Kolkata. So in that Shyama Prasad Mukherjee port of Kolkata, for long range marine communication, this radio over internet protocol was being inaugurated, was being launched. So if you see, if you have to think about this port, or what is the range it covers, you will see that it covers this radio over internet ROIP, it covers the entire Hooghly River. I think you all have heard about this river. So Hooghly River, from exam perspective, is also very important. So you can go and get refreshed yourself with Hooghly River. Yes, so Hooghly River, entire Hooghly River from Kolkata will be covered to the Sandheads. What is Sandheads? So Sandheads, if we have to say, so see, you can see from Sandheads to Kolkata, this is the major communication that will be launched, and the best advantage of this radio, sending radio waves for any kind of communication, is that if there are any bad weather condition, if there are any kind of storm, yes, then this radio over internet protocol, this system will not, there will be no problem in communicating with this problem, because you see, during storm and in case of bad water, this radio waves will be able to operate in a smooth manner. Now coming to the term of sand heads. What is sand head? Anyone? Any idea what are sand heads? Sand heads are nothing but it's a stretch. Okay? Sorry, S-T-R-E-T-C-H. Stretch of open sea, nearly 130 kilometer from a place called as Haldia. Okay, Haldia of West Bengal. So from that part, if you consider 130 kilometer of open sea stretch, that is called as sand heads. Is it now clear what are sand heads of our country? Yes. Okay, very good. So it's a stretch of open sea which is 130 kilometer from a place called as Haldia. So from this sand heads to Kolkata, there will be operation through what? Through radio communication, and that will take the help of internet. So we are saying it as ROIP, right? Okay. So all these waves, radio waves or any other waves that often we come across, these are nothing but this radio communications or whatever I am saying, they are majorly waves, isn't it? They are waves, and this is why we need to know certain terms that are related to waves. A wave, we all know that when someone asks you to draw a wave, this is a wave, isn't it? So there are certain terms which are important from the perspective of waves, and I think you will have these terms on your NCERT book as well. So first term, wavelength. What is wavelength? Length, obviously, as the term length is here, that means something it's talking about a certain distance, right? So this is one wave and this is another wave. So wavelength is the distance between two identical wave from this particular point. So we call this as wavelength. So if we draw this, this is the wavelength, right? Then next we have is the amplitude. In a wave, this part we call it as crest, and this part we call it as this is called as crest, this is called as trough. Okay, this upper part we call it as crest, this lower part we call it as trough. Now from this midpoint to the baseline, this distance we call it as an amplitude. So is it clear what is a wavelength and the difference between wavelength and amplitude? Yes. So this is the wavelength which we refer it by the symbol of lambda, and this is amplitude which we refer it with the symbol of x naught. Anyway, the symbols are not that important, but just look into the differences. Both measure distances, but distances, the measurement of distance are having some kind of differences, and this difference you shouldn't ever make any kind of mistake. Then we have frequency. Very, very important. Suppose I have said that within 1 second, in a certain period of time, how many waves will pass? That is called as frequency. If in 1 second, if these numbers of waves pass, yes, then we can say that the frequency is high. But in 1 second, if only these numbers of waves are passing by, then we can say that the frequency is low. Here the frequency is high. That means within a limited time period, the number of waves that are moving through, that is called as frequency. Is it clear what is frequency? Everyone? Okay. And the unit of frequency is hertz, or we write it as Hz. This unit of frequency is also very, very important. So these three are the basic terms that you need to know regarding a wave. And then we have speed, which is wavelength into frequency. This is just a formula that you need to remember, but these are the basic terms which always you need to remember. Okay, now I think based on that, you all have heard about some terms like FM and AM. So see, FM, here this F stands for frequency. Okay, FM means frequency modulation. AM means amplitude modulation. So as the names themselves are saying, modulation, modulating, that means some kind of changes are taking place in them, isn't it? Certain changes are taking. So in case of FM, what is being modulated, but which is undergoing some kind of changes? By common sense, it's the frequency that is undergoing certain changes. There is changes of frequency, but amplitude in case of FM will remain constant. But in case of AM, amplitude will get modulated, but what will remain constant? The frequency will remain constant. These are the basic differences between FM and AM. Am I clear between the basic differences between FM and AM? Okay, now you people tell me one thing. Whether FM can travel to long distance or AM can travel to long distance. It's actually, I don't know how many of you have observed in real, but FM covers a very short distance. Okay, after moving from a certain location, you will find that there is no FM connection. How many of you have seen this case? After moving from a certain location, FM will get over. But this original, if you think about the original radio, right, with very, very bad quality also, you can hear it. And that's what? That's the AM, amplitude modulation. Doesn't matter in whatever part of the country you are, with very bad quality, you might have to catch here and there some kind of whatever antennas are present in your radio. Sometimes you might have to move it left, sometimes maybe towards the right, sometimes antenna you might have to stretch it long. With these kind of experiences that we have, these experiences are mostly seen in case of the AM. Whenever we are listening to an AM, right, this all India radio, whatever news that are being delivered through AM in all India radio, they are mostly through AM. And this is why after a period of time, sometimes what happens, you will feel that the connection gets lost, isn't it? So there are both advantages as well as disadvantages of FM and AM. FM gives good quality compared to AM, but FM's coverage is very, very less.